welcome to today's edition of Pegasus Test. On today's edition, we're reviewing stages 7 and 8 of Desert Brutality 2018. In this review, we're going to combine stages 7 and 8 for the highly technical reason of I had a camera failure on stage 7. Specifically, I was so into the stage, I forgot to turn it on. So, starting off with an overview of stage 7, you started up about halfway up a hill, you dashed up to your first shooting position, which was a shallow little depression with some sandbags around it, and you had 3 targets you had to engage. From there, you moved to a position that simulated a bunker, which was a pile of sandbags with a firing port in it, a very narrow one to be exact. You engaged the same 3 targets that you engaged in the first position, and these targets were approximately about 175, 200 yard range, something like that. Then you dashed over to a wall. From there, you had 2 still targets approximately about 100, 125 yards away. You got some hits there, and then you moved over to a rooftop simulator that you crawled up onto, engaged targets, and when you were done, you handed your rifle off to the RO. You had a 300-second par time on this stage. Now, on this stage, I have no video, thank God, because it was a complete and utter dumpster fire for me. By the time we shot it, it was our last stage on day 1 for my squad. And when I got up there to position 1, I flopped down, there were 3 targets, got in position, and the shadows had moved and come in, they got really dark, and the gray steel against the sandy desert background with shadow covering it on one of the targets, I just could not see it. So I was poking and hoping, firing where I thought it could be, because they had some highway cones out by the targets to give you a general area. Literally the RO was doing his best to talk me on target. I got a few hits, but not enough before the stage timed out. So, for me, it was a dumpster fire. Now, that doesn't mean it wasn't fun, but to give you an idea how tough it was, out of my squad, the only person that completed it was Jordan Hensley, who went on to win the match. No one else in my squad was able to complete it due to the heavy shadows, and the ones that got the closest were the ones with optics, because this is a stage where optics mattered. It allowed you to get close, it allowed you to differentiate and kind of burn through the shadow, as it were, and be able to see the target and get your hits. Now, from what I understand from the RO, I was close enough that with his talking on targets, I did get a hit a couple times, but not enough to clear the first stage, part of the stage, and that I was only missing by a couple inches each time, but it was enough to waste all my time and not be able to complete the stage. So very tough stage, and from talking to some of the other competitors, it all had to do with time of day, because talking with some fellows who shot it earlier in the day, they were able to clean it at a fairly rapid time. So it's just one of those things, weather conditions can get you. Moving on to stage 8, which ironically the last stage of the match was the first stage that I shot. And it was called the Mogadishu Quarter Mile. It was a really interesting stage. You started out and you had a path that curved up. It was probably about 200-300 yards long. I don't think it was a full quarter mile. And you had 20 targets you had to engage. 5 of the targets had a big black X on them. Those were must-engage targets. They had to be neutralized. You took a 60-second penalty per target. You could neutralize the target by 2 hits to the body or 1 hit to the triangle area of the face section. And the bonus targets had the same requirements to neutralize. They were just, if you neutralize them, great, you got a 5-second addition to your time, or subtraction from your time, and if you didn't, it was no harm, no foul. When you got to the end of the run, after engaging the last targets, you came around a slight bend, and there was a pistol spinner that you had to spin. The restrictions on this stage were that for your carbine, you could have 30 rounds. That's it. One magazine, or if you want to split them against other magazines, that was totally up to you. You could have 30 rounds. Once you expended them, you had to transition to your pistol. So there's some strategy involved. You could have unlimited pistol ammo, and my strategy was I engaged almost all the targets. I did leave 1 bank of freebies to go by as a safety measure. I probably should have just engaged them. And then the last couple of targets that were must-hits, I engaged with my pistol because I had 3 magazines with me, and I was willing to expend part of 1 magazine and due to some confidence I had the day before with the spinner. Got to the spinner, came up and engaged it and spun it, and it was pretty good. Ended up being a pretty good stage for me. Overall, it was a great, fun stage.
All right, good to go.
Hey, shooter ready?
Ready.
Stand by.
We hope you found this review of stages 7 and 8 of Desert Brutality interesting. I'm apologizing for my camera error for not turning it on for stage 7, although I'm glad I don't have to show off my embarrassment of my bad performance. It was an interesting match. Desert Brutality was excellent, and I hope the fellows at End Range go ahead and have a Desert Brutality 2019. We'd like to thank you for tuning in to Pegasus Tests. We hope you comment, like, and subscribe, and tune in for some more videos about the gear used at Desert Brutality.